And in actuality, given the rough rollout of HBO Max, which we talked about here, I thought that HBO Max would be a little bit slower out of the gate and would have fewer offerings relative to their catalog and library. And an extension of Warner Brothers.
I had a ghost pepper
Who's going to run away with this race?
Dorito chip. It was pretty fucking
HBO
crazy.
Max is doing better than Disney Plus at this moment, maybe because they have more to offer on a month-to-month basis as far as
You realize at the pace you're going, you could actually run for Mayor of Glendale.
And I'm streaming. So, you know what? Wouldn't that be the goal?
I think that is the goal at this
Suits 2020. Make that place proud down again.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get a hat on. Look at that. That's horrible. That was close. Only 34 people saw that.
Remember that old, 2 decades ago, that old product that they tried to sell? It was a topical headache medication called Head-On.
Oh, on a roll, like
Yeah.
a band roll-on.
Head-On.
Yeah.
Remember the commercials? Head-On. Apply directly to the forehead. Head-On. Apply
Yeah.
directly. They just repeated it over and over again, so that's the name of
Yeah.
I always wanted to come up with a topical Viagra solution. Hard-On. Apply directly to the penis. Hard-On. Apply directly to the penis.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to that.
Seriously, it must have just not been. It went the way of Newprint.
The answer is no, I did not bring up backup batteries, so this might be a brief but glorious stream.
What kind of charger?
Type C.
Might have one.
So I tweeted out a video. Yeah, look at that. Woo. I tweeted out a video, a TikTok video, from a pair of GIs, some infantry guys that are on a really shitty deployment. They're in the Michigan Guard, and they're sitting in Bahrain in towers guarding some Navy base, some bullshit. I mean, just a fucked up deployment. It's like, you want you want to just kill the re-enlistment rate of that unit? Do that to an infantry unit. Send them down range, and put them in towers. So anyway, doesn't excuse what they did. These two guys, one's an E6, the other's an E4, they get on TikTok and they start denouncing liberals and Democrats in Michigan that are burning our towns down and all this. But they're doing it in uniform and they're on duty. So they have their weapons, they have magazines in. And I can't repeat what they say, but you watch the video for yourself. I'll talk about it next hour, the 9 o'clock hour. But yeah, that's a good way to. You're not going to shorten your deployment, but you will certainly make it less lucrative because the E6 is going to be an E5, and the E4 is going to be an E3. Actually, in that case, if I'm the company commander, I'm coming down on that NCO really hard because the guy has a CIB. He's deployed before, and he's had a real deployment before. And the correct answer is you fucked up. You know, you're an NCO, and you drug an E4 down with you for a stupid TikTok, which, by the way, has been banned for military members using. It shouldn't have been on this guy's smartphone. So anyway, that being said, it's really funny because they're talking to the camera. They're going, "Are those liberals and Democrats?" And then the E6 says, "Is that guy drinking unicorn semen?" And then he says, "Man, he's just squeezing it out there." It's you have to see it. I shouldn't be laughing, but I've been there. That's the deal. I've been there. I've been an NCO. So fucking bored on guard duty. Nah. I'll play a couple, and then it'll end with this is library. But anyway, watch it before we start. Yeah, he looks into the camera and goes, "Is that guy drinking unicorn semen?" And then he goes further down and he says, "He's just squeezing it right out of there." Oh God, I was laughing so hard for two reasons. Because these guys are fucked. Number one, what's that?
I'm watching the live stream, so I just heard unicorn semen. I'm like, wait.
Yeah. These guys, number one, are fucked. And number two, it's funny. It's funny because I've been that. I've been that board enlisted guy, and then that board NCO. And I have on my personal YouTube channel, there's a video called Sheep and Trunk, which some of my men made, where a guy gets off a city bus in Baghdad with 3 sheep that he hails a cab. It's a Volkswagen Passat. And he and the cab driver each of them grab a sheep by the nape of the neck and the ass, and they put him in the Passat, all 3 of them, turn him sideways, shut the trunk, and just drive off. And my guys are narrating it, and they're laughing their asses off. And some idiot put it in a briefing that a senior ranking guy saw, and he decided that the video was making fun of the of Iraqis. And so the guy who put it in the video, who was the actual PowerPoint slide bitch, as we called him, this captain, he tried throwing my men under the bus, and I said, no, sir. You came and told them you wanted a copy of that video. You were never going to see that video. You came and thought it was funny, put it in your briefing. You briefed a lieutenant colonel with no sense of humor, and so you got to take your lumps, and he did. He said that I put it in the briefing without the men's knowledge. It's all on me. He was still a dick to my men, though. That being said, it was a funny video. Yeah, you do stuff like that. It'll because it's going to bring discredit to the army. Yeah, you will get Bohican. Bend over, here it comes again. You're going to get the big green army weenie. The army does not have a real sense of humor about that. I have a story about that. It involves my Spetsnaz video, which I've tweeted out 1,000,000 times.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
We've got scorching temperatures as we head into Sunday. I'm gonna let you know the secret. If you're getting internet from the phone company, you're overpaying. It's all those added taxes and hidden fees. The good news is Spectrum Business doesn't have any of that nonsense. No added phone taxes, no hidden fees, no contracts. So what you see is what you pay. You get the fastest internet for the price. 200 megabits per second and business phone for only $69.
I don't have a foamy thing. Is there? No shit. They're over there. Okay, wait. I'll get it during the opening.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Abi Kibar, Trump, Sarkar.
Hey, this is library.
KFI AM 640. It's the Dark Secret Place. Brian Suits here. The world's always melting down. This is how we track the world melting down live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app and streaming on YouTube at unsheepyourself.com. And that's the Dark Secret Place YouTube feed. And we have who's been arrested at LAX lately news coming up. Gruesome details, according to the Washington Post, coming in about the French teacher who was, of course, beheaded for showing what? Cartoons about Muhammad. We have more information about that. And also, as I said in the promo, after 55 years, the U.S. Army has decided that, hey, this caliber that we've gone to war with for the past 20 years just ain't working. And this after 2 decades, pretty much, of troops coming back from either Iraq or Afghanistan saying, hey, this caliber, it no worky. No worky. And it's also the ammunition that we're issued. It was meant to fight somebody wearing body armor. Well, the enemy isn't following our script, not wearing body armor. But anyway, the Army is going to announce all in one fell swoop a new battle rifle to be deployed or issued by 2022, and with it a new caliber for that rifle and for machine guns. We'll get into that next hour. Also, the war drums. I'm trying to come up with a metaphor, but China's pace of testing Taiwan really has increased to a level that is, you would call it pre-operational. And it's been going on since September 19th. I'll tell you what's happened so far this week coming up. Culminating in a Winnie the Pooh costume being sold at a Taiwanese Costco is now pissing off Chairman Xi. So, boy, if he needed any more reason to invade the rogue breakaway province, as he maintains Taiwan is, then he will. Let's talk about COVID here locally, shall we? You can say what you will about Mayor London Breed of San Francisco. She reigns over a once proud, great city. I mean, really, truly one of the great cities on the face of the earth. She inherited a literal mess. She recognizes that human beings defecating on sidewalks is not normal behavior, and that perhaps there's bigger problems, and that perhaps they brought a lot of these problems on themselves. Anyway, the standard stink out of San Francisco. But I'll say this. She's showing leadership in one area in the middle of these pandemics, in the middle of all these COVIDs that I had to swerve to miss on the way here, that the mayor of LA, what's his name, is not showing. The LA City Council is not showing. This was yesterday. She tweeted out, today I issued a statement on the need for our school district to focus on reopening our public schools, not renaming them. To address inequities, we need to get our kids back in the classroom. What she's talking about is that it may have reached peak ludicrousy in San Francisco. Of course, that they have to rename schools that are named after George Washington because, like, what did he ever do that we should be proud of? And I think everyone's going to pledge to not use dollar bills or something, and then rename some other schools. You know who else they put on in the sites for renaming is Dianne Feinstein. Evidently, there's some Dianne Feinstein elementaries and junior middle schools and all that. They're going to rename schools that have been named after Dianne Feinstein. And why, you may ask? And if you're thinking, wait a minute, is she old enough to have owned slaves? You'd be excused for thinking that, but that's incorrect. Chronologically, she was born literally after the Civil War. So no, that's not the reason why. It's because she hugged Lindsey Graham. Yes, hugged. She embraced him for nearly according to Lindsey Graham, 5 seconds, which I believe is the upper limit of his ability to show physical intimacy with a woman. So she praised him for the quick and efficient manner of the hearings for Amy Coney Barrett. And then as they broke up, I guess on Thursday, she gave him a hug. She's a senior ranking judiciary member. She and Graham did a little hug. Well, of course, gonna rename any Dianne Feinstein school. Good Lord, of course you do. That's just, how could you not? I denounce you for not thinking that. So this is all happening while the mayor of San Francisco is saying, hey, the underserved, underprivileged kids that we all bend over and cry about and say that they're our priority because they're going to be left behind because of the white supremacy or the patriarchy or the fluoride in the water or whatever. They're the ones who are being most victimized by this idiotic policy of closing schools. And she put it in a letter. So anyway, it would be interesting to see Garcetti's react. I want to see, you do those live opening videos where you get something. I don't know why. People who review electronics and stuff, they do a video of them opening the box, and they all come with the same thing: a USB cord, a wall charger, earpiece, whatever. But it would be interesting to hand this letter to Garcetti. Let me get through the crap and get to the meat of it, which is paragraph 3. And now in the midst of this once-in-a-century challenge, to hear that the district is focusing energy and resources on renaming schools that they haven't even opened is offensive. It's offensive to parents who are juggling their children's daily at-home learning schedules while doing their own jobs and maintaining their sanity. It's offensive to me as someone who went to our public schools, who loves their public schools, and who knows how these years in the classroom are what lifted me out of poverty and into college. It's offensive to our kids who are staring at screens day after day instead of learning and growing with others, with their classmates and friends. So thank you. She sounds in this particular arena like she's applying common sense, and what she's getting in return is a governor who keeps bleating about science and data, but he's not addressing the data that in areas of the country where schools have opened up, there's not an increased corresponding hospitalization rate, and it's been 2 months. And by the way, again, smart people don't repeat cases. Cases don't matter unless it results in a hospitalization. And so since it has not, and by the way, would it be so hard for a district to take all of the teachers under the age of 35 with no underlying conditions and have them fall in on kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, have them be the first ones out there. And then as other teachers, maybe who don't have underlying conditions and are otherwise healthy, under the age of 45, get them. This should have been done in May, because we knew this by May, but it's October, or as they say in the classic rock business, Rocktober. You know what, by the way, just for the record, every once in a while I give away free ideas. I've been giving this one away since 2007 here at KFI. I went to the boss and I said, let's make fun of the music stations that say, welcome to Rocktober. And then they get the lead out at 5 p.m. and put the Zep in your step. And it's an old cliche that they do it across the country. October is Rocktober. And I said, nobody in our format of radio has ever declared the 10th month of the calendar Talktober. 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 Yeah. Well, I call it Talktober, my line of work. But so anyway, the mayor of San Francisco, who has a fairly dense urban child population, she knows what's going on, just like here in Los Angeles. But I don't hear anybody in LA saying what she's saying, which is get the priority to get these kids back in the classroom, even if it's not 5 days in a row per week. And the way to do that is, and if Governor Science and Data says this one more time, I'm gonna freak, because now you saw what he did on Friday. You can only gather in families of 3 or less for no more than 2 hours. Well, what the hell? What? Where's this happening? And he doesn't define families. Look, what we do know from around the world is that people under 20 are virtually immune to this thing. And if you're seeing how in the Southeast Conference and the SEC, cases are jumping, cases are tripling. Yeah, but what about hospitalizations? Nobody's been hospitalized. No 19-year-old in the South at Auburn University has been hospitalized. Positive Wednesday and then negative 3 times on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Did you see my tweet from earlier today? I said, breaking news, Nick Saban's virologist, not an Alabama, or not a Georgia alum. Because the Georgia virologist would have said, yeah, sorry, Coach Saban. Yeah, you got COVIDs all up in there. All your snot lockers are filled with COVIDs. I can see them. They're charging each other. But here, in the second largest school district in America, which luckily my daughter's not a part of, but it's not much better in her district, we have known since May who this kills. And I remember, I want to go back and find the show. It was late February, and the Italians released the demographics of the first 803 people that died in Italy. And more than 50% were over 80. And 90% were over 50. And there were 2 people under 50 and only 1 under 35. So it was really, and nobody under 18. So it was really obvious. So we're doing damage right now. And it's kind of pissing me off because I saw this coming and I didn't want to be right. But unfortunately, well, that's the burden. It's the burden of being me. Back in a second, guest who was arrested at LAX, and it's not Jetpack Guy. Back right after this, KFI AM640, live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. Let's check in with the KFI Newsroom with the latest. Oh, I brain farted on Claudette Stefanian.
I'm Claudette Stefanian, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. President Trump has plans to fundraise in SoCal tomorrow. California has regained more than a third of the 2.6 million jobs lost in March and in April. A 14-year-old boy in San Diego has been arrested for allegedly attacking a rabbi. We take a look at the 605 next.
Do you have coins, jewelry, or precious metals and are looking to sell for top dollar? Sylvie Genova, CEO and owner of Tangible Investments, has become legendary by beating his so-called competitors' offers on these items by as much as 500%.
I had a diamond ring that had been an heirloom in my family for many years, so I went to a local jewelry store and they offered me $600. I just wasn't qualified to get down to Tangible Investments, and they offered me over $6,000.
So there's 2 Game 7s tomorrow?
Tangible Investments has become America's
No, just one. Game 7 for Tampa and Houston's going right now.
featured on CNBC and
Oh, that's right, yeah.
the Wall Street Journal. For the past 30 years, Tangible Investments has bought billions in collectibles. That's billions with a B. Right now, demand is through the roof. Sill encourages all his clients to shop the competition and then call him last. You'll be amazed at the difference. Our team. Free professional
All right, let me catch up on some questions here.
Lower to mid-60s. Let's check out the 605.
By the way, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm filling in for a show That'll be 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. LA time. It's a 10 to noon show in a unnamed Midwestern city.
And in Ontario, 60 westbound at Haven, a crash blocks the car in left lanes. Traffic is slow for Milliken Avenue. This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Dave Joseph.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Contractor license 1047-781.
In 1996, John Scalinas walked on stage at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville to speak to 4,000 baseball coaches. He was 78 years old. He was wearing home plate around his neck. Scalinas said,
No, Mo. 8 to 10 Pacific. 10 to noon Central Time.
how wide is home plate in high school baseball? 17 inches. College coaches.
It's KFAQ, Talk 1170 in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Auditorium thundered 17 inches.
It's one of those Midwest stations that goes, 900 miles either side. It's funny.
Believes in doing things the right way, not the easy way. Plumbers and AC techs who do things the easy way have to go to work somewhere else. Get hires them to be we don't adjust.
Fuck! 8 to 10 Pacific. Oh, you're trolling me.
No place like home. That Dorothy.
Oh, the one with the shoes.
To get back home.
Home is the special place.
How long will it take?
Makes it even more special.
6 to 9 weeks. 69 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks.
We love what we do.
Let us do it for you.
We'll give you back your big,
Open.
magical home.
For all of you fans of Madagascar too, Lost in Africa.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Really the best of the three.
College this fall, you still have time. Worried about a change in job market? Learning a skill? Anxious about college costs? Well, financial aid is available right now. It's not too late to enroll in
Who
community college and apply.
who won the did Klimachenko fight already?
But it will be soon. Later on,
No, it's daylight savings time isn't tonight.
fall with shorter-term classes
It's November 1.
and credits. To learn more and connect with your local college, visit stayenrolled.com.
House paint. It's a big bucket of denial. Painting over your home's exterior problems only makes things worse. Because when
I forgot my Fitbit.
cracks are expanding, water damage is creeping up the sides of the house, and wood is rotting like bad fruit. Hi, I'm Steve, creator of Deluxe Life Coat. Unlike painters, we restore your home's exterior using our exclusive 12-step process. We water blast.
Yeah, Sunday, 2 a.m. Sunday, November 1.
After we're done, you'll never have to paint your home again. That's why Deluxe Life
2 o'clock becomes 1 o'clock.
lifetime warranty in the industry. It covers flaking, peeling,
I gotta say, I love my Fitbit. I really, really do. I like reading about how I slept.
just dial pound 250 and say Life Coat. Here's my offer. The first 10 callers today to dial pound 250 and say Life Coat will get 20% off and pay no interest for 2 years. Get in now.
2 minutes.
Pound 250 and say Life Coat.
Certain terms and conditions apply. CSLB number.
I gotta do a little Brubeck.
6 feet of distance. As few people as possible. So, make sure lowering the risk of spreading COVID-19 is on your list for your
Dave Brubeck was a infantryman in World War II, by the way.
These tips can help you lower the risk.
And there was some like amateur night thing during the Battle of the Bulge. And a general heard him playing piano and said, "Who's this guy?" And they said, "Well, he's with the 32nd Infantry and he's a reinforcement." And he said, "No, he ain't. He's not going to fight as an infantryman. He's going to play piano." So that's how Dave Brubeck didn't get croaked.
Is offering more plan options so you can find just the right plan for you. Call 1-800-362-8715
I probably will be.
to get Medicare with more. Remember, Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th.
Now that I'm better TV, because I'm 40 pounds lighter.
Recruiter makes it fast and easy. We talked to Mom at the start.
By the way, Charles Schultz was a machine gun squad leader in World War II.
So I use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds the right people for your job and actively invites
Yeah, Christofferson was a West Pointer. And then he went to Ranger School back when you had to go to Ranger School at a West Point. And then he flew helicopters, and he never got to deploy to Vietnam. He wanted to. I found out that if I play the music too long on YouTube, YouTube will edit that part out. Hendrix was 82nd Airborne now. Yeah, he was a Stars and Stripes writer, Andy Rooney. He wrote a good book right after World War II.
Suffering from KFI FOMO, the fear of missing out on more stimulating talk? Get KFI on your phone, your smart speaker, your computer, your TV, probably even some refrigerators. There's a million ways to listen, but only one.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. It is the Dark Secret Place. This is Dave Brubeck, KFI. Dave Brubeck, a infantryman in World War II. I was just talking about to the YouTube crowd at unsheepyourself.com. Dave Brubeck was a rifleman in World War II. We'll talk about future riflemen a little later on next hour, probably new caliber from the Army. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if this was arranged or a complete surprise to retired former Mexican Army General Salvador Cienfuegos Zepeda. He was the defense minister of the Republic of Mexico from 2012 to 2018 under the President Enrique Peña Nieto. In 2016, he denounced traffickers who had ambushed a military convoy, killing 6 of his soldiers, quote, sick, insane beasts, close quote, but he said it in Spanish. So then he lands at LAX on Thursday. There he was, minding his own business. And he flies Delta. Anyway, after arriving at a Delta flight from Mexico City with several family members, according to a law enforcement source not authorized to speak publicly, he was arrested. Arrested. How about that deal? Arrested. He stands accused of helping a Mexican drug cartel smuggle, quote, thousands of kilograms of cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and marijuana, close quote, into the U.S., according to court documents unsealed yesterday. This is according to the LA Times. The development sent tremors through Mexico's leadership circles and jolted the country's military establishment, a cornerstone of state power. The news was widely seen as the latest confirmation of the insidious nexus between the long corrupt government and the criminal gangs that hold sway over much of the country. Here's the deal, by the way. In Mexico, the federal military, the active, regular Ejército de Mexico, as well as the Mexican Navy's Marine Corps, they enforce civilian law. It is thought by many in the Mexican government that their federal police are so hopelessly corrupt that the only people they can trust are guys who have, Mexico has a volunteer military, guys who have joined the military, and they didn't join to fight drug criminals, traficantes, and all that. They're just assigned to it. It was the guys who kept chasing El Chapo around were Mexican Marines. And so in a development that should absolutely stun nobody, the former head of the former defense minister of Mexico indicted in America. My question about did he know it or not is part of me gets the feeling, and it's not going to surprise me if it turns out this guy owns 5 houses from Chula Vista, to Santa Clarita or whatever, because a lot of them have basically a oh crap plan. A lot of Tijuana city officials have their families living in San Diego, and just because of safety. So for this guy, when you start dealing with the devil like that, dancing to the devil's tune, someday, the music's going to stop, and it apparently did it at LAX. So he knows that in America, guys like him, we have no problem sending a guy like him to jail. That's why the Mexicans wanted El Chapo out of their prison system. He metastasized. He caused too much corruption. This guy, is he going to squeal or not? Anyone? Bets? He's doing it right now. Probably in English. We'll be back right after this. The latest out of the Artsakh region, otherwise known as Nagorno-Karabakh. How are the Armenians doing against the Azerbaijanis? That and more. It's the Dark Secret Place KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Claudette Stefanian with the news. You know what it is that I'm drinking coffee with cream in it. And we had these tortilla chips in our break room. They're like Hawaiian ghost pepper tortilla chips. Did you see those tortilla chips in the break room?
Yeah, I did.
I made the mistake of trying one. I mean, that's the hottest goddamn thing I've ever.
I thought you were going to say because it was just opened in COVID, but yeah.
The bag dared me. You know, the bag was like the hottest pepper known to man.
It's the
That
same
brand.
company who makes the
Pocky,
hottest
yeah.
chip
Yeah,
Oh, really?
challenge.
yeah, Pocky.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, I
That's
took
their-
one
that's
one
their
bite.
That's their dialed down version of it.
I didn't make it past. I was at the point where I either had to spit it out or eat it, and I just chewed the bite and knocked it down, and then I made coffee with half and half.
New York wedding with 10,000 attendees shut down by Cuomo.
Oh, I think that's the story she did.
Feds to execute woman who killed victim, cut baby from womb.
Is that even illegal?
No,
Why is that in the LA Times? Is it
it's out of
local?
Washington. I'm sure you've seen this one. Suspect in French teacher's beheading was 18-year-old Chechen.
Yeah, I've
Got
got,
that one?
yeah. Yeah, who would ever think that a teenage Chechen refugee would get offended at cartoons of Muhammad?
Yeah, no kidding.
What? That's a shocker.
Yeah. Berlin gives middle finger to anti-maskers in tourism ad.
Oh, really? That's funny. You know, the guy in Paris, I wonder what his motive was. You mean on the air clearing my throat or here on the stream? It's been a quiet weekend so far in LA. It's been a. I'll mention this also tonight. I'll keep it though. Yeah, so I got to turn around tomorrow. I'm thinking of like me and my daughter getting in a hotel or something. So Monday I'm doing that
Yeah.
morning show at 8 a.m. in there. So that means at 10 I drive home, hour 10 minutes. Then get up at 5 to get here by 6.
You might as well just get a spot here.
Yeah. And like, come late, shut the barn, say goodnight to the ducks. The ducks can be dicks.
As a tradition.
More, the General Cienfuegos, the indictment for the Mexican general was in U.S. District Court in Brooklyn. The U.S. investigation was apparently kept secret from Mexican authorities, leading to questions here about trust between the two countries and speculation that other officials could be targets of similar inquiries. Gosh, why would we keep such an investigation about a retired high-ranking Mexican official from them? It's almost like we think that they're a sieve of information and totally corrupt from top to bottom. We have to tape a lot of shit.
Southland weather from KFI, mostly clear for tonight. 60s on Sunday, highs from the mid to upper 70s at the beaches to mid 80s inland for Metro LA, around 80 at the coast to 84 for inland Orange County.
Troy just got a hit.
For the valleys and IE. We lead local live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Claudette Stefanian.
Did he turn him into a double?
United States Surgeon General Jerome Adams, America's doctor. And all across our nation, we've taken steps together to slow the spread.
No, I think it was just the same.
Now we must continue to take personal responsibility to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Because even though not all of us risk a severe case of coronavirus, we all risk
You got a bumper ready?
spreading it to others.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
We want to get back to school, back to work, back to worship, and back to overall health. There are things our country needs to do. We need to follow state and local guidelines, take extra precautions if at higher risk, wash our hands frequently, stay 6 feet from others when we can, and when we can't stay 6 feet from others.
Florida State with a much needed win. I was glad to see Mike Leach lose again for the third time. That piece of shit.
You don't like him now that he left?
Fuck him. Yeah, his first loss, he blames the media for asking the question. Second loss, he blames the media, then he blames his own coaches. Third loss, he blames the media, his own coaches. Now he throws the players under the bus. That's his pattern. Every fucking season he would do that.
That's why iHeartMedia is here for you. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com to speak to us about growing your business.
And some 19-year-old kid would quit and transfer to, Idaho State, and he would imply that was the loose cannon that was fucking up his offense.
Growing faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile.
That's my Mike Leach love right there. That's the extent of it.
Mobile delivers the fastest overall speeds and is the most reliable service coast to coast. There are no contracts, added taxes, or fees. Switch and save up to 40%. Visit SpectrumMobile.com to learn more. Based on Q1 and Q2 2020 subscriber data.
For official rules and more information about contests on this station, go to KFIAM640.com/rules.
Live,
KFI
local, and iHeart radio station.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. It is the Dark Secret Place. Brian Suits in here until 11. By the way, the reason that the Mexican government is pretty freaked out and pissed off at the U.S. government is that we did not let them in on the investigation into their former defense minister, General Salvador Cienfuegos Zepeda, who was arrested at LAX on Thursday. Came into town with some of his family. So, because part of me was thinking, did he know this and he flew in sort of to surrender himself? It looks like the answer is no. No on that one. He had surveillance on him probably. They knew he was flying. They got him at LAX. The case was unsealed at the U.S. District Court in Brooklyn. So anyway, he allowed the H2 cartel, a spinoff of what is known in Mexico as the Beltran Leyva cartel, to, quote, operate with impunity in Mexico, close quote. In other words, telling his commanders not to take a pound of army over there, but add another pound of army to Sinaloa or the Zetas or whatever. So involved in drug trafficking. So there you go. And the more gruesome details emerging, the beheading of a French teacher who was making the point about free expression that we here in the West are supposed to treasure and defend with our lives, making the point that no one should die for an idea. And he was showing a class some of the Charlie Hebdo cartoons from a couple years ago. Remember when those two brothers tore up the Charlie Hebdo offices, killed a couple employees there because they had a cover, it was a French humor magazine. One of their monthly editions had Muhammad on the cover, and his turban was actually a cannonball. It was a cannonball with a fuse lit on it. And there were other anti-Muhammad cartoons in there. Well, so this guy was making the point that if you want to be, if you want to assimilate into Western culture, you should probably value and defend free speech. For instance, a couple of years ago, and he showed the cartoons as a object lesson, and so he was beheaded yesterday. And President Macron, who really doesn't do that. Well, let's hold off and let's hold off till we get more details. He knew what it was immediately. Macron said it was a Islamist terrorist attack. This is our battle, and it is existential, he said late Friday, and he's correct about that. So anyway, now there's up to 9 people that have been detained, besides the 18-year-old who got himself killed. It was sort of a one-way trip for him. Anyway, he was a Moscow-born immigrant of Chechen descent who carried out what President Emmanuel Macron called a Islamist terror attack. Anyway, apparently he wanted an audience, and he sawed the guy's head off, making sure that people saw, which is sort of the MO. Remember in London what happened a couple of years ago? I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago, there was a soldier named Lee Rigby walking out of his barracks in civilian clothes, and two chaps attacked him, held him down, and also sawed his head off. And then they stood around monologuing for 15 minutes until Scotland Yard sent the armed police, who, you see, there's the police. And then when someone actually murders another Londoner, you have to call the armed police. So for 15 minutes, those guys stood there waiting for the armed police to show up. So anyway, there's a ritual to the beheading, and they fulfilled it. And this guy fulfilled it on Friday in Paris. So they got a problem there. The estimate is that the enclave of Armenians called Nagorno-Karabakh, they prefer you to call it Artsakh. The Azerbaijanis are claiming approximately, because the lines are non-linear, but their attacks in the south and the north have led to about 200 square miles of this territory being taken back. Again, what they're on record saying is all Armenians get out of there. That wasn't yours. Stalin made it yours. We're taking it back. Get out. For the Armenians, either in Armenia proper or this enclave, which is in Azerbaijan, they hear that the Turks are backing up the Azerbaijanis, and the goal is to ethnically cleanse this region. And guess what? They get defensive because, this is in their not far away past, but their recent past, about 100 years ago. And we know this here in Los Angeles because it's the largest population of Armenians in the world outside of Armenia. And there's also a significant, but not nearly close, number of Turkish Angelenos who have sort of laid below the radar on this one. It's sort of at a stalemate at this point, and it would appear, this is my sense of it. Early on, the Azerbaijanis were having tremendous success with Israeli-made and supplied kamikaze drones called Sky Strikers. They killed a lot of Armenian tanks with these, and if they don't kill it outright, they're disabling the tank. They were very deadly in the first 10 days to 2 weeks. I have a weird feeling that that Netanyahu got a call from Putin. And again, the sides work out like this. Putin has Armenia's back. And in that neighborhood, there's no one you want more than Vladimir Putin with your back. Armenia uses almost exclusively Soviet-era equipment, from their AK-47s to their T-72 tanks, even their artillery, the whole thing. And Russia is resupplying them. And by the way, in some cases, they're resupplying Armenia through Iran. The Iranians are trying to stay kind of neutral on this, but you can't resupply Armenia and not look like you're not neutral. Meanwhile, the Azerbaijani side, their number one ally, the guy probably pushing them into this is President Erdogan of Turkey, even providing Turkish Air Force F-16s physically on the ground in Azerbaijan. And because of a nearly 2-decade relationship with Israel, the Azerbaijanis are using these Israeli observation drones, artillery spotting drones, and then the lethal kamikaze drones that are taking out trucks and artillery and all that. And the rumor is that Moscow called Jerusalem and said, because the Azerbaijanis have been using so many of these systems, they need resupply. And the rumor is that Putin, who has had a cordial relationship with Netanyahu over Netanyahu's occasional air wars in Syria, he's called Netanyahu and said, do me a solid and don't resupply them. Let them duke it out with the artillery, with what they have on hand, but don't resupply them with those drones. Because if you do that, I'm going to be sending nastier drones to the Armenians, and then no one's going to be happy about this. And the sideshow here is that the Israeli opportunities to kill Iranians in Syria have not been missed. Netanyahu has a relationship with Putin, and it works like this. Netanyahu calls ahead, and he says, don't have any Russian airplanes or anti-aircraft systems or Russian troops in the vicinity of this one giant hangar at Damascus airport, because we're going to pay it a visit. Or this place east of Damascus and all that. And Putin apparently does not pick up the phone to Assad and say, I ain't saying nothing, but don't be at that one airbase because the Israelis are going to hit it. And then meanwhile at the airbase, the Syrians have all seen that when the Russians get in jeeps and leave at high speed, you should probably do the same. Anyway, that's the relationship that they've had. And so is it in Netanyahu's interest? Yeah, it is. Because are the future trade relationships with Azerbaijan going to make or break Israel's balance sheet? No, it's not. And in doing this, he's getting in Putin's favor bank. So the word is that the incidences of these very lethal Israeli-made drones coming from Azerbaijan are less and less and less. It looks like the Azerbaijanis have used them and they're not getting resupplied. So there's that. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is somebody going to start negotiating with somebody else? No. Short answer, no. Could it be resolved locally? Are the Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh going to walk to Baku and say, hey, let's work this out? No, that's not going to happen either. Is it in Putin's interest for this thing to go on? Well, at this point, it's not in his interest to make it stop and give anything up. Because what he's looking at now is that he would have to tell the Armenians, well, why don't you just write off that territory that the Azerbaijanis took? And then what? Every 2 years, they take 200 more square miles until there's nobody left in there of Armenian descent. And so anyway, that's the update. People are still dying on both sides. You are not allowed to send lethal aid to Nagorno-Karabakh as an American. You can send all the non-lethal stuff you want. That means like combat first aid kits, things like that. You can, if you have someone who can accept it at the other end, if you know someone in the capital of Artsakh, Stepanakert, you can still get it in there, or you can get it into Yerevan, into Armenia, and it can be delivered. But anyway, my source in Stepanakert she has said that they have now been shelled for 17 straight days in the capital. Not a single day has gone by. And the Azerbaijanis, again, they're not aiming at any sort of military target. There's nothing near where their rockets are hitting, except civilian neighborhoods. Back with more on that here in just a second. It is the Dark Secret Place. Brian sits in here until 11. KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. Claudette Stefanian with the news. I'll talk about what's that? Oh, yeah. What's that on?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Hunter's laptop here.
Precious metals and are looking to sell for top dollar? CEO and owner of Tangible Investments has become legendary by beating his so-called competitors' offers on these items by as much as
Yeah, it is, because it's endemic. It's in the DNA of Turkey and Armenia. Absolutely. So yeah, this is part, just like everything that happened in the Balkans. It doesn't end; it just takes a time out. That's what a Bosnian friend of mine, a great photographer, told me when I met him, and I said, yeah, how long do you think we'll be here as peacekeepers? And he said, well, all that matters is about a year after you leave, we'll be going back to war. And he said that's what Tito did for 40 years. Was he laid a layer of communism on all these ethnic rivalries, and 10 years after he died, it was back on. Battery low, 15%. It's I don't know who planted that laptop. Is the story true that a drugged up Hunter Biden dropped it off and forgot, where he left it? I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Because if you lost a laptop, you would call Apple and they would nix it, right? And but some of these emails are now Fox is reporting that people in the Biden camp are confirming that some of them are very genuine. And Brett Baer, who is a actual journalist, reported this last night. But pardon me, in it, Hunter Biden there's is telling whoever it was in the email that the big guy needs 10% of the equity stake in this company, and that he's identified as H. And whatever. It's 20 days to the election. I don't know why it's coming out now. This should have come out. The guy says he alerted the FBI. The FBI came and took it. And he tried to contact some senator who didn't call him back. Because that thousands of crazy people contact them and say, "Oh, I've got video of Joe Biden getting peed on." Same deal. Same kind of nuts are on, the other side are like that.
4 million Quip customers today. Quip refills start at just $5 every 3 months. Go to getquip.com/newstalk right now and get your first refill free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/newstalk.
2 minutes.
At QUIP.com/newstalk.
Let's face it, painting your house is a pain in the you-know-what. It's time-consuming, it's expensive, and what's worse, you have to repaint every few years because nowadays paint is basically just colored water. Hi, I'm Steve, creator of Deluxe Life Coat. We're here to take the pain out of painting. Deluxe Life Coat is a revolutionary exterior coating that comes in any color you like. It's 20 times thicker than paint. More importantly, it's a permanent solution to the never-ending cycle of painting and repainting. And Deluxe Life Coat has the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Baking, peeling, and yes, even cracking. What paint can say that? Let's take the pain out of painting. Dial pound 250 and save Life Coat. The first 10 callers today to dial pound 250 and save Life Coat will get 20% off and pay no interest for 2 years. Get in now. Dial pound 250 and save Life Coat.
CSLB number 1052855.
Investors like appreciation with high cash flow. The Federal Reserve is boosting real estate markets now.
Yeah, Hunter was a direct commission naval officer. I don't know why the Navy does that. In the Army and the Marine Corps, like doctors and lawyers can effectively be direct commissioned. But Hunter and Eric Garcetti were in this thing called information domination in the Navy. And you're still subject to UCMJ. You're still going to get a whiz quiz. And I don't know what the fuck that branch does, but that's what Mayor Pete did during all of his combat missions. That's how you get a lieutenant driving, by the way. If the guy has no other visible purpose, you make him a driver. But Hunter couldn't even get to that part. He coked out of the Navy. He drugged out. Fucking idiot. But the guy's a shit show. He's been a shit show all of his life.
Planning departments and zoning and permits. Because I'm even boring myself just reading the list. But it's really important stuff. And after nearly 4 years, I may have figured out how to make it interesting. We'll see.
Home with Dean Sharp, the House Whisperer. Tomorrow morning on KFI AM 640.
More stimulating talk.
KFI 640. It is a Dark Secret Place. Brian Suits in here until 11. Who knew? On this day, distortion was discovered by the Sonics in 1966. So a couple things. I'll talk about the Hunter Biden laptop a little more tomorrow. I'm waiting for more stuff to break, but pretty standard reaction. Adam Schiff saying it's a Russian plant, but the guy who is legally blind and who fixes computers and all that, his story does check out. Everything checks out. But can he confirm that that's who dropped the computer off? He can't. So I don't know. And if a Russian GRU agent stole Hunter's Macintosh, wouldn't he say something? Wouldn't he call Apple customer service and they would lock it up or whatever? And so anyway, there's that. But there are sources, according to Brett Baer at Fox, who is the guy is as solid as any other TV journalist you're going to see, or journalists in general. There are emails that are a little too familiar and really do sound like how Hunter and Joe emailed. And in one of them, they're divvying up the equity stake in this Chinese company after Hunter accompanied his dad to China on an official U.S. government visit, and that H is Hunter. He's going to get whatever percent of the initial equity stake, and then the big guy is going to get 10%. So if this is true, that Joe Biden used his office to enrich himself, and there was the time that they called him, his tax returns were the smallest of any U.S. senator. He was the poorest senator for a long, long time. But with 23 days to go or 26 days to go, I don't know what effect it's going to have. But we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. And your Tampa Bay Rays will be advancing to the World Series of wooden bat baseball, of fast pitch baseball, for North America. And so the desired rematch between the Holtros and the Doyers is not going to happen. And so I hope the Doyers are still motivated to win tomorrow, though. I hope so. Dave Roberts said he doesn't know, but of course he's going to start Kershaw. Come on! Well, he'll get in there somewhere. Yeah, so I did finally watch some baseball tonight. Good to see Kelly Jensen. A 6-pitch, 3-out outing there, saving the game, or closing the game. It was amazing. Not closing, saving the game. Here's a headline that I didn't think I would read in the LA Times. About 110,000 Californians have bought a gun since the coronavirus arrived, study says. And first of all, here's the scale of things. California is still the largest gun market on earth, no matter how many laws they make. Well, this is a study out of UC Davis. In the first 5 months of the COVID-19, thousands of Californians bought new guns and changed the way they stored their firearms in a bid to counter the unrest, government crackdowns, and societal disintegration they feared would be unleashed by the public health emergency, a new survey has found. And by the way, all you retail gun shops, you may send a royalty to me, and you can PayPal me. The UC Davis researchers who conducted the survey detected shifts in gun ownership's trends that they said are likely to drive an uptick in firearm-related injuries and deaths. It's only if you store them like an idiot. But with new people who've never had a gun before, I would agree with that. Because I just don't think, if you buy it for that reason, you're not going to be serious and trained with it. By mid-July, the pandemic was cited as a factor in the purchase of an estimated 110,000 new firearms in the state. Mid-July. Gee, did anything happen in late May and June here in Southern California or California in general that might have sparked sales of guns? By the way, for the record, just observing this from the outside, nobody emailed me in March or April or the first 3 weeks of May about, with this COVID here, I need to buy a gun. You know when people emailed me? It's when Fairfax was being torn up and LAPD was doing nothing about it. That's when people said, what do we got to do to buy a gun? And I would tell them, well, first of all, remember where you live, and find a good 10-day period that you will not get attacked, and then you can buy a gun. All right, back next hour. Events are piling up one after another like dominoes in the Taiwan Strait, culminating this week in Costco selling a Winnie the Pooh Halloween costume. That and more coming up. It is the Dark Secret Place, KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Yeah, No. Really? My battery's about to die. And I need to have some signal. So we will live stream again tomorrow night. Please keep listening go to AM 640 or iHeartRadio and listen online.